Well, it is actually time I took a look at the tackle shack, the tackle cabin, because I've got to start work on this, otherwise I've got nowhere to make my new film studio for the winter. I actually did say I wasn't going to wallpaper it, but I talked to a guy, he said, yeah, it should all be okay. So it only lasts me a winter, it lasts me a winter. But first, although this is painted, I'm going to paint some PVA over this. So what I'm going to do to seal that up and hopefully see if the paper takes, I'm going to get some, what they call PVA. I use it when I'm plastering, background concreting, anything like that, which is sealing out a porous surface, and you mix it up with some water on different strengths, 1 part adhesive, 3 parts water, 1 to 5. I've got this on about 1 to 4, halfway through I suppose. So I'm just going to dust off the cobwebs, and trust me, there is no shortage of cobwebs in here. I see no live spiders, but I'm not in here at night when there might be some big ones crawling around. I'm going to have to get this patio furniture, would one call it, which we've had for like 8 years and never used. It's not ours, it's Mike's, I think, left over. And don't know whether we're going to give it away, what we're going to do with it, dump it. It's got to go because I need to see the whole area I've got. So boys, this is a non-fishing one, but I want to make a start on the tackle cabin. I want to get this dusted out first. Might have to employ the services of the wife. She loves a good dust out like that. And PVA, 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 and I'm going to see if I can get wallpaper to take. You're going to love the wallpaper. And of course I've got to do the outside, but they're giving like a hurricane coming through, so I don't know how far I'm going to get peeling all this off. Right, first things, no, not the PVA, off to see the wife, bacon and egg sandwich. Right, bacon and egg sandwich went down very well, thank you. Time, I feel, to make a start and get this cleared out. Right guys, I've got the worst of the cobwebs down. I saw a huge black spider, like a tarantula. It's gone straight down the tube of the vacuum cleaner. I hope he's not going to be crawling out. So the wife just said, oh, I'm not using that again. So I'll have to clear it out, won't I? Also, problem after having this for 12, 13 years, I didn't put what's called a drip seal sill just down on here, and the wind comes down here, that's south, that's sort of west, southwest, straight down the throat here. So obviously the water over a period of time has rotted this out. You can see it's just rotted it, so I chopped all this out, hammered under some 4x2 new joists under there, hammered one under here to support it because this was springy, this had all rotted, and I'll probably pull this one out, and I'm going to have to do this one again. It might dry out, but I somehow doubt it, and I'm just going to see if I can squeeze one down in here and just support just under there, cross over, and then give me a bit of a board like this. Looking good. Gonna have to get some ply across there, making sure that the door's closed. Just a thin piece of ply. It's generally going to go everywhere, but this will at least give it something slick and sealed up, and basically it won't suck the glue out of the wallpaper into the wood and dry it too quickly. I mean, this is all, that's where the saying comes from, isn't it? Suck it in the sea. And we're just going to give it a go, and then this will probably dry overnight, and I'll see what I can do with the ceiling tomorrow. It's going to take me a bit of a while to do this, people. In fact, hey, while I'm doing this, why don't you check out one of my shorter fishing films? Well, I don't catch very much at all, but I had a good day. That's right, I had blank trips like everybody else. I won't be having a blank trip today, that's why I'm doing this. Okay, well look, I've come down here to the beach just for literally an afternoon. That's right, 1:10, not exactly an early start. It is looking like it's going to turn into a fantastic day, but not a fantastic day for fishing. But you know what us beach fishermen are like on the shore anglers, we just never really know. So what I come down really to show you is different ways of putting crab on. There's a couple of different ways. One's a standard way, but one's sort of my idea of catching putting a crab on. And in this case, I'm not using peeling crabs. I'm going to be using frozen hardback shore crabs. That's all. So I'm going to get one of three species: a smooth hound, a thornback ray, a bass. Probably nothing else at all is going to take it, because they're quite chunky. They're quite big crabs. It's just a way of not wasting bait. Because at the end of the day, by the time I go, and I live 50 miles from the sea, there's not too many crabs crawling around in my back garden. So what I want to do is show you this way that used to be the old school way of putting a crab on, and my slightly more modern way, a sort of theory of why I rig it up like I do. I chucked a couple of rods out here, a couple just down there. They got single hook pulley panel rigs on them. I haven't gone for multi-hooks, lots of little baits and everything like that. I have got, because I couldn't get any ragworms, some frozen black lug, so I've gone frozen all the way. No way is it as good as fresh bait, we know that, but that's all I could get. The downside is very, very bright. The upside is there's a lovely, beautiful ripple on the water. It's sparkling. The downside is it's a bit too clear for fishing. The upside is I could take my jumper off, my sweatshirt. It's pretty warm. Who knows? I might scare the seagulls and take the shirt off. Not a pretty sight. So I'll show you the rods I'm using. I've gone fixed spools all the way here. This one I've got braid on, 50-pound braid straight through. I'm not bothering with shock leader because I'm just lobbing it out there. That one is a Coniflex. That's a make, my old one. It's a 2600 the blank. Throws 6 to 8 ounces. This one is a Coniflex as well. This is a 2400. That one throws, probably optimum weight would be 4 to 5 ounces. Fixed spool with mono on, a shock leader at the end. So this is 18-pound mono, wouldn't go much lighter. I'll make sure, if you're fishing big baits like this, you've got plenty around the back end of down here. Plenty of weight around there, because if a fish cranks off, it's going to tip that lot right over. And well, they do drag rods in the water. As I say, I'm probably going to catch nothing. Oh man, I could smell the ozone. I could also smell a blank, but I'm going to give it a go. Just up here, actually first cast, I just chucked those out 15 minutes ago. I'm going to give them about a good half an hour, and they're going to wind in, because I shouldn't get the bait stripped, because it's like blue on blue, you know what they say, crab on crab. So they're hardback crabs, not soft peelers or softies or velvet swimmers. They are hardback, plain green shore crabs. So the crabs themselves, the live ones out in the ocean, are going to have a bit of a hard time chewing through the shells. They should last quite a while. This one, I've got a smaller fixed spool reel here. I just got nylon, just so guys know, I've got nylon there, and then I've topped off with braid, say 125 yards of braid, because I'm not going to be casting 125 yards by the time I've got a decent crab bait on there. This one, he says, looking at it, is, yes, a Coniflex. This one is a bass rod, casting weight, optimum that is, 3 ounces. Unfortunately, I've got 5 on there. Then I've got GT 9000 reel. They probably discontinued them now, they're all old reels. This one I like this one, it's got the ball handle to it, not selling them, just saying I like it. This one's God knows how old. And that one is called a flounder basher, again a Coniflex flounder basher. Who knows whether they're still available, you might be able to pick them up second hand. I'm not saying they're the greatest rods, they're just the rods I use. What you must do really is, I don't know if you're going to get wind in the mic here, I'm just going to take a punt at this one, is make sure that drag is set so line can be pulled off under pressure, okay? It says high power drag system, wow. So you don't want that locked up, otherwise again, as deep as you bury it in the shingle down here, it is still going to get wrenched over. Not so much with the bass, not so much with the thornback ray, but a smooth hound feeds in a different manner, and he could crank these right over. So tidal situation, boys. Fairly big tides, as I understand it, but sort of mid-range. It's a 3 o'clock high, so I've got sort of basically I'm fishing 2 up, I'm going to fish 3 down. There is some weed here, I'll show you on the tide line previously. I'm hoping it's not going to be too horrendous. Look, you can see it all up and down there on the tide line. And that's the last tide line just in here, which the waves are dumped just over there, so hopefully I put my gear high enough. Look, I can move it, can't I? The tide is coming in, so obviously I can move back down. I could probably fish the whole system here for 5 hours in this position and, you know, leave the rods like that. Look, let me show you. I thaw the crabs out in a bucket. You can just tear them open. Some of these are quite big. I can cut them down and split them in half and I put them on elasticated. Oh, I'm all wobbly. I'm feeling all weak. I haven't had enough to eat. Off I go. Been in the sun too long, Graeme. So those I'll probably cut down and make half baits, and that's what I'm going. That is a perfect size for, yes, wrasse, but I'm not fishing for wrasse in deep rocky waters. That is a perfect size for off the beach. Say they're all frozen, and I use these in the boat as well. And you can even use sections of these, but once inside the meat will be soft, so I try to use them whole if I can. It's one of those situations where it is, you know, a decent big fish or nothing. And keep them in the cool. This is a one session wonder there. Just bag them, freeze them, 10 or 15, whatever you think you're going to use. And I had to buy, for my method in a minute, is some, let's pull these out. I had to buy some frozen black lug, which I don't like wrapped like this in cling film because they go a bit gunky and juicy. I like the paper to dry them up a bit. They should really be rolled individually with paper in between each one. They will last better, be a bit firmer. That's all I could get, not cheap, but I'll show you how I'm going to rig them on the hook in a second. So now ordinarily I wouldn't really entertain fishing for big fish. Bright sunny day like this, clear water. Fine out boat fishing and no trouble at all. You're in deeper water, 30 to 50 feet. There's a lot less light penetration. So, you know, here is just a punt, just a gamble, a throw of the dice. I did it more to come down, kill a few hours, and right, it's too good to waste, isn't it, really? I would want to be fishing the similar situation with the tide coming in, let's say 3 hours up, high water 3 hours down, but coinciding with high water being in low light, around about sunset, dark, that type of thing. Or indeed, some guys get up 3 o'clock in the morning just to get the tide right. They're the ones that catch the good fish. The guys go beach fishing on a blazing sunny day like this generally don't do good at all. The only time they do good is when the low light levels, you know, drop everything and the fish come in and hunt. And of course, if there's been a big stir, a big bit of wind, it's going to stir it all up, puts a bit of colour in the water. Again, that does give them a little bit of confidence. Now they also pick this section of, this is an island I'm fishing off, because there's a channel at each end, and that means there's tidal flow coming in and out. So that is another point. I've not fished in the middle, I've come more towards, I suppose I'm about, wow, a good 400 or 500 yards from the main channel. But being big tides, it's going to push a lot of weed in and out there, a lot of rubbish coming through. You're even more limited to, say, maybe a half an hour either side of high water, which is the peak fishing time. Deeper water up there, but I want a bit of fishing time. You know, I don't want to take a gamble and walk all my gear up there when it's broad daylight like this. Night time, I will be fishing up there. And there is a boat channel that goes in and out there all the way out. In fact, I boat fish up and down this quite a bit. Okay, now listen, when the smoothhound's feeding, he feeds what I call fast. This is how I feel from the bites I get. You rarely, I think other anglers might bear this out, you rarely get a deep hooked smoothhound, because I feel they come up to the crab or other bait, grab it, and they move off fast hunting. Now they've got to keep hunting. You've got to understand there is no supermarket that you just walk into under the sea. They're hunting 24/7. If they don't, they do not exist. So they're hunting all the time. Now they're not going to come across, because people say you must fish a soft crab, a peeler crab. Look, A, they're expensive, and B, they're good because they've got juice coming out of them. But here's the scene. Mr. Smoothhound swimming along, or indeed other species as well. Do you think he's going to go, oh no, I'm not eating that crab. Oh, it's too hard. I've got to go and spend another 3 days looking for a soft one because some anglers said I must only eat soft crabs. What a lot of twaddle. They eat the crab in front of them, they crunch it, and they are gone. So for that reason, I'm at the moment fishing not a plain bomb, because I feel if the plain bomb, the plain weight was out there, and a smooth hound did come along, he probably won't, but if he did, when I've caught them off the shore, they can cover a lot of ground, and they're bumping that lead, they're dislodging it, bumping it. They're not really holding the hook in. So the grip lead is there really to help the hook up, aid the hook up a bit, to give him a bit of grip that he can, you know, pull against for a split second. It might even make him panic, pull over harder, and then I can get him up on the rod. Now, I've seen some taps on my right hand rod, the first one I put out, because that's got braid, so it registers everything. It's probably what I'm going to call blue on blue. It's crab on crab, but they're going to have a heck of a job chewing away all that crab. I'm going to give it about 45 minutes on winding. Obviously, if they've shelled the complete crab, I'm going to have to bait them more regularly. When I do a wind in, I'll show you how I'm rigging it up, because there is a different way of hooking crabs if you're just lobbing them out, especially for bass. I'm going to have to use this with the head cam because I've forgotten the tripod on the other camera, which is much better at this sort of thing, but we work with the head cam. Let's get rid of that because they don't do me any favours, so they ain't getting any publicity. Right, I've got here a 4-0 hook. Hopefully you can see that against the box here. Tied onto, let's say, my trace. This, as you'll notice, is, that's right, a paper clip. So what we used to do years ago, I didn't invent it, it was done 40, 50 years ago, standard method of fishing mostly for bass with a crab bait. But there we go, you've straightened out the paperclip wire. I'm hoping you guys can see this. No bites yet, they've been out there coming up close to an hour. I have another hour and 10 before high water, but I've always liked an ebb tide going out. I feel the food is washed out. So there, hopefully you can see this, people. The paper clip there is straightened out. So this is what we used to do. With the paper clip through the eye of the hook like that, put a bend in it so it's parallel, then bend this out the other side and around that shaft, that tag end we call them, that's what the fishermen call that, a tag end. Look, I'm bending it around and around and around, sort of whipping it on, and then I get to about there. Can you see that, people? And then what we used to do, we either leave that or we snip it off, either way, or some people leave it doubled like that. It depends whether you can get your snippers in there or not. Doesn't really make much difference. Bend that back. That is going to be the retaining spike that holds the crab on. Let me get a crab and I'll show you what I mean. Here's one little chappie I prepared earlier with his nippers that are no longer nipping anybody. Just going to use this one as a guide. You could spike underneath in the softer part if you wanted and whip those legs either side, or you can spike in the top. It really makes no difference. I'll show you what I mean. If you just put a little bit more angle in that there, then I'm going to spike through here, just twist and twist. Some people actually don't bother with that. They get another old hook and put that on there, so you can see that crab spiked on there. Then get my dig around for the elasticated thread, a bait thread. We used cotton back then, and then bind the crab around and around and around. Now, sometimes anglers will be doing this and notice that the crab slips round in a big gobby bit round here, and that masks the whole point. Whereas if you can see this, the way I've done it with the old school method of using a paper clip, the hook point is clear at all times. Now, if we do this, if you've got a live crab you're casting out, not very far, we bind the claws up like this and the legs up so they can't run and hide under a stone. Otherwise, you cast them out, a live crab, and he just goes, I'm going to bring this over here, there's a stone and weed, right? Cast out, plop, he goes in the seabed, he goes, forget this for a game of soldiers, I'm off. And he hides under there, and you think, well, I haven't caught anything today. So, by whipping the legs up, this is a dead one, this is a frozen one, guys. You can see, if this was a live one. Now, look, if I'm fishing that dead, just lobbing out for, let's say, bass, that is it. Look, it's rigid, the hook point stays there. You can bind it a lot tighter than that. I've just done that to show you. But if it was a live one, I would bind. In fact, I will show you, why not? Waiting for a bite, I'm waiting for fish. It's one of those afternoons where you sort of know you're not going to get anything, but you always live in hope, like shore fishermen do. We're all the same, we all live in hope. There's a fine line between hope and stupidity, I feel. Now, that's what I'm doing there. Binding it around. And don't do this, people. Do not bind over the point of the hook like that, because that's going to stop it pulling in. Now, you'll notice as tight as I'm binding this, and I always finish off on the tip of the legs here. As tight as I snap it, look, it just falls many times as you want to drop it. He comes along, he sucks out, that hook point is always clear. So there you go. The paperclip method of spiking your crab bait on. Indeed, you could use it for others as well if you wanted. And I'll show you the other little tip that I've got, which I feel, I've done it with squid, but I'll show you what I do with worms as well. Now then, using this paperclip method here, you can see that, put it that way against the blue sky, you can see if a bass comes along and sucks it up, it's instant strike. You don't have to worry about feeding him any bait. If he's got it, you're going to hook him. Unless it's like a £1.5 bass, obviously tugging at it. But there you can see it, crab bait. Wow, it's got fish written all over it, just not today. I'll move around this way because the wind is picking up. Like the other way is just my way of doing it. More for keeping anglers happy. I get my worm, can be a ragworm, a fresh lugworm, or in this case a frozen black lugworm. I just get a bit of spit, wet it on the shank of the hook. Take the worm, this is generally on some hooks, smaller crab baits and smaller hooks. This is a 2.0 knife flaw, very, very sharp hook. It's called a knife flaw. Thread the worm all the way around. So I've snipped the tag end of the knot down, I pop it up over like that, hopefully you'll see this. I pop it right up over, slide out the line a bit, then I get my crab, this is just my way of doing it, just lightly through the edge of the shell there, see, just lightly, and then I bind just one set of legs. These are frozen crabs. Bait thread, forever lasting losing bait thread. Does everybody else lose bait thread? Drop it on the shingle, it's gone. Okay, dead easy. Obviously I'm binding those legs, that stops the crab going down sliding down the bend of the hook. But sometimes the worm will. So what I do, if you can see this, hopefully, I guess you guys are getting it. I never know till I get home, that's a problem. I'm going to start whipping around the main line like this, pulling the worm up to keep it nice and straight, and then just at the top like that I finish off with a half hitch. Some people don't, I do. Now then, that can then slide back down. Now to me, along comes Mr. Fish, he's looking for crabs. If a crab sees a fish near him, he's going to scuttle off under here, he's going to go off over there and hide somewhere. If he's feeding, he's sort of not looking behind him, is he? So I feel a fish could come up behind him and think, that crab is feeding on that worm. Now that could be a piece of squid as well, you know, I mean that's why I say it could be a piece of squid, ragworm, lugworm, black lug, whatever. Fish bait even, I've done it with fish bait like this for congers. So it looks like it's feeding, you see. There's his claws. I don't bind these, I just leave them loose. This is just for lobbing out 40, 50, 60 yards. And it sort of looks from a fish's point of view as if the crab is engaged in eating the worm. I got the smell off the crab, I got the smell off the worm. To me, it's double bubble. It's just another tip. If you guys can think of a variation of it, have a go at it, because that is what it's all about. Just working things out, experimenting, trying different rigs is part of, well, it's part of the fun of fishing, isn't it? And show you guys these two different ways how I rig my crabs up. More for big fish, but let's face it, a bright day on a beach like this, I'm basically, yeah, that's right, I'm pretty well here for the sunshine. If you're fishing in clear water, some guys that do these paperclip holders for the crab holding on the hook, the bait holder I'm going to call it, you can buy, instead of just the plain silver ones which I've got here, you can buy colour ones. Now these stand out really well over a nice sandy bottom, the white ones, and of course you've got pink, blues, yellows, so you've got different colours that you can make that little spike, and there might be a tag end of it that the fish see, who knows. But just to let you know that the modern ones come with a sort of plasticized coating rather than plain metal. I don't expect they last any longer, but listen, they're going to catch a few fish for you, and it's an option you've got to play with. I just wheeled this one in, and this is why this has been out 1.5 hours. The crab outline is still there, but look how, I think you put it there, something's eaten the whole inside away. Now is that other worms, something like ragworm, or is that other crabs? But something's eaten the whole inside, or maybe it's just washed out. Now you could use that again, cast it out, but the hooks are being held just by the legs. I like to have a hook in the shell and with the legs on. So we take him off like that and put a fresh one on, I think. Give this one a look at as well, I think. Oh, nothing. Does not surprise me. Bright day, clear water. Feels like there's a fish on, but there's not. I could have come and fished all small baits with worms. Left hand rod back there looks a bit slack. But I now know I can afford to leave these here, well, pretty well, almost indefinitely for the whole session. And the tide goes the other way. I'm going to move my line to cast on the other side of that groin so I don't get dragged into the groins. We just check to see if the crab is still there. 1.5 hours, people. And look, I've still got a bait there. They've chewed all the legs off of one side, they've eaten one side out, but basically there's still enough there for anything to eat if it came along. It tells me basically there's clear weather like this, there's not too much out there, it's probably all out in the deep water, and as I said earlier, the best time will probably be dark. This one on the other rod, he is a giant. Look at those nippers. I'm going to send him out, but not very fast, near high water, so I figure anything big moving inshore. I'm going to put him just at the back of the waves, maybe 40 yards. Just lob it out. Only going to whip the legs on this time to hold it, give me some holding point there. I'm not going to clip it down, not going to blast it out there, just going to lob it and leave it. It's quite catchy, isn't it? Lob it and leave it. And then it's washing around on the seabed. Any movement might make it appear that that guy is alive. That's the theory, another experiment that's probably going to be doomed to failure. Now, although this is only a small reel, I'll come this way so you don't get the wind. It's only a small reel. I've been, like a lot of guys, even boat fishing, I've been going more and more for these fixed ball reels or spinning reels, as you know. And they're pretty good, you know, the modern ones have good drag systems. Yeah, decent one, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg. Caught some good big fish on it. I've got no real hope on those black bugs. If I had ragworm I'd feel a bit better, but here it comes. Pretty sure the crab's still going to be on there, people, and indeed you can see there is still a bait there. It tells me there's no smooth hounds or bass there yet. There's nothing wrong with that crab, but I will top it off probably with a bit of worm. Well, I'll tell you what, people, I'm glad I didn't go out on my boat today. It is howling. I think you'll agree from the pictures early on when I first turned up, there was a lovely little shimmer on the water. It's absolutely howling there now. And when it's rough like this, it stirs it up inside a bit. That's why it made me think about dropping those baits shorter. There's a little bit of colour in the water, maybe fish will come in there at the top of the tide looking for food. Theories, theories. Where will we be without theories? But I do like a bit of beach combing anyway. Obviously quiet, I can keep an eye on the rods. I walk down first, turn around, and I can glance up at the rods. My garage is full of rubbish that I don't need. Bits of rope, lobster pot buoys, stuff. Now, years ago when I was a kid coming down here, my grandparents lived down here, you come along and you pick loads of limpets up here and use them as bait after a storm. It was always one of the top baits to use, generally after a blow. They get washed up, get pounded all up, and you get them above, hello, what's that? You get them above the high tide line up here. Something shiny. Oh, what can I say? I've died and gone to heaven. And it's full! It's full! No, don't, Graeme, you don't know what's been in it. I mean, did the guy drown or something? Was he lost at sea and this washed in? It's a hip flask, for those who don't know, and it's not rusted. Oh, guys, what would Homer Simpson do? Would he tie it? Hang on a minute. See if we can get the top open. Oh, joking apart. I thought it was full of seawater. It ain't seawater, people. But I'm not drinking it because you don't know who's been slobbering around it. What if his name's on it? That's weird. It's a full hip flask. Christ, he can't have been drunk. He was full when he lost it. It says, time to exploding, 4 seconds. God. Oh my God, it says gold plated. I think it's got brandy in it. In which case we'll find out, because I think I might have a lighter here. And we'll find out then. That's a nice one, isn't it? Look, the leather's come off it. Stainless with gold plating, top and bottom. So how long has that been washing around in the ocean? Does anybody out there recognise it? And listen, who can smell? Try it. I think it's brandy. I really think it's a brandy hip flask. Well, well, well. One day the owner's going to be watching a YouTube fishing program and say, that guy's found my flask, my hip flask. It's given to me by a great grandfather. Yeah, but he didn't drink the brandy, did he? I've got to try it round here, right out of the wind. I have got a lighter. People walking along and wonder what's that bloke doing over there? Go and call the police. Right, I've got a lighter. I've got an empty Doritos packet because I've poured it on the stones, it'll go, and I've got one little piece of paper with all my job list on it for my wife. So that's the best thing to do is burn that anyway, I feel. I know this is spirit, but I don't think it's whiskey, I think it's brandy. Brandy should burn. I'm not sure. Yeah, it doesn't actually smell like brandy. I don't think it will burn. Maybe not. Oh no, it's burning. It's blue. Can you see the blue there? Oh, Jesus. It's definitely burning because we're boof. That is weird, isn't it? Try it again. This is such a kid's thing. No, don't do this, kids. Don't do stupid things that Mr. Pullum does when he was at school with all his fishing mates. We need more. We need more fuel. It's not. I'm not sure it's burning because you know what they do with. I don't know what that is. It's a Cointreau or something like that. I know sometimes it has to get really hot. Now it's away. It's blue, it's burning blue. Who knows which spirit burns blue? I don't. Doritos and brandy, what a mix. I think it's whiskey, guys, I think it's whiskey. But the problem is now, I don't leave litter, I'm taking this back, but it's now it's now going to absolutely reek. How do I explain this to the wife? It's going to reek of Doritos and whiskey. Yeah, it's whiskey. I don't know whether that would glue back or not. Maybe I could put it up, clean it up and put it on eBay. That would make up for blanking today. Gold plated, no less. Well, the wind has been absolutely howling, people. It came up to about 20 knots. I saw the orange rib go out, which is probably the Coast Guard. And people were panicking, trying to get in. It was really pretty rough because the tide is wind against tide. It's dropped away a little bit, but a lot of the boats have come in. I caught absolutely nothing, as I did think. Tonight is the time to come out. There will be guys coming down tonight to fish the same tide that come in, you know, for the high water is going to coincide with darkness. That's the time to come. But I figured in the pitch dark I'm not going to be able to show you people how to put those crabs on, little tips and stuff like that. So I've had a great afternoon out. The weather's been pretty good apart from the wind. That's why I'm hiding behind this breakwater. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to refreeze those crabs I've got left. I'm not going to waste them. They're going back in the freezer. I'm going to hit somewhere else. I don't know where to go, whether another beach or maybe go on the rocks. But I'll tell you what, they're going to get used because hardback crabs are great baits. You could be forgiven for thinking I should be out there fishing. And today was a very doable day, no question of that. In fact, I could do with going fishing myself, but weather's not good enough and I've got to crack on. This has now gone off, the PVA ceiling. I've done all the roof here, but I've done it in gloss, which is like oil-based. So I figured that'll stop damp coming through. And bearing in mind, I'm going to be using this for a film studio as well. That's predominantly what it's for. And I need to bounce some light back there. So long way from working out what's going to go where, which flash, which inset light umbrellas are going to go, who knows where I'm going to mount cameras in here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to paper in here, probably give this another coat of seal, but I'm going down here with some wood stain because wifey said, why don't you make the rest of it like beams? And I thought paint it black. She said no, keep it like timber colour. So I got some timber stain, but it's a great big can. So I don't want to be up there staining and my wrist is killing me. So I've got an orange juice bottle, cut it in half, and I just put enough stain in there which is nice and light for my poor old wrist to hold and work away with here. Well, you can see I'm pretty well on the way to staining up my artificial wood beams here. So I'm cracking on pretty well. But listen, while I'm doing this, I had to walk around my garden. I got bits and pieces to show you there because I'm, like everybody, I'm aware of global warming, but also what's happening to the trees, what's happening to the lack of rainfall. Talking with a trout fishery manager just a few days ago when I was doing a film down there, he said like that the underground aquifers are so low. Of course, we've had some rain since then. They're so low, it's quite frightening. Anyway, let me crack on here. If you ever walk around with this other guy, got some interesting ideas. Might get you thinking. I would say it's in the last 3 years I've noticed trees dying for no apparent reason. Now I know it's been very dry, but I've lost 1, 2 damson trees which have damson plums which you can make jam, and I've done articles on that in magazines, gardening magazines. I might have one left over there by the boat and a few on there, and there's this one, this here. Just a regular sort of cherry blossom, almond blossom. It got blasted by the wind, so it's leaning that way, and you can see I've had to trim it back because all these ones on the downside were dying. They've got this peculiar sort of moss over them, and I don't know why that is. So it's been here years, but what I did notice was this. Like, it's got woodworm, or what I think is woodworm there. I'm going to try and make like an old-fashioned clay poultice. I've got some clay, which was actually to be used for Mike's Saxon house, you know, for doing the walls there, wattle and daub with clay and straw. Got some clay. I'm going to pack that out with clay like they did in the old Western films. They're like a gunshot wound and they put a poultice on it, like a hot poultice. I'm going to put a cold poultice on this one, and then I'll keep you guys posted as to what's happening. I mean, look here, look, see? What is that all about? There's peeling, bark peeling there. I don't understand that, but I've cut off as much deadwood as I can up there. A couple of bits left at the top, but it's a sorry state of affairs. I had beautiful pictures of that when it's in blossom no more than 3 years ago. It shows you something is happening with the climate. I'll show you the damson plums. So over here by the boat, I've got like one left. It's dropped most of all its fruit, which comes from the flower. Again, a lovely blossom when it comes up. It's about the last one I've got. But why are they dropping them so early? Look, here they are, dropping them. And they're very, very, I feel they're quite small. Look, I'll get them in the sunshine, you can see. That's the size of it. Excuse my nails, I've been gardening. Still juicy. We've had an incredibly dry summer, and there's a stone. But it's dropped them really early. I mean, when I say early, I mean the end of August. Why is that happening? Might be a few around here. Poor old boat's got to go out sooner or later. Oh, I see the enemies here. I've got such trouble with a mole. He's given me unbelievable trouble. I put everything down the holes. I've tried traps. Traps don't seem to work for me. I don't know why. See, there's another small damson one here. But look at the fruit on it. It's like, I know it's very dry summer, I know it is, but look, it's moist inside, but the outside, it's almost like it's rotting on the tree. There, look. That one is just shriveled up. This one. These are damson plums, and I've lost 2 of these trees. I honestly feel I'm going to lose these 2. I'll show you something else. I'm going to mix some of this clay up. This is what we're using on Mike's Saxon house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to get a bucket, soak that down. God, we've got to fit all this stuff tomorrow. Lovely. It's going to make the car suspension sit down a bit. Oh, that's an unusual object. What the hell is that? Is that metal? This is from my next door neighbour. That's a strange mix. Is it? Oh yes. Cast. Sounds like cast. Bit of a messy job this. I'm going to use the fine stuff there. Another thing, look at the clay. This year has been so dry. Look. Unbelievable. I'm going to wet this down and make a poultice of it. Put it on that blossom tree. And see, I shall let you know guys later if I have managed to salvage and save it. A few more plants there, could have a little bit. Gotta love being on the meter, haven't you? Thing is, I've got a well. I'm going to show you that well in a minute. So there we go. A nice gunky mess of clay there. A few stones in there. I'm sure that's the least of the tree's worries if it's on the way out. So all you arboriculturalists out there, what's caused this? It was a cut that somebody's done it before I had the house. I didn't cut that one out. I'm going to pack it full of clay and see, because the wind comes from this direction, if this does actually make any difference and save the tree. Because in the springtime, this one is a picture, or was a picture. Got most of that lot back. That was a mistake. I'm going to push it right in the crack. Don't start, Graeme, don't start. I'm going to push it right in there. Just use the base of my hand here just to push that. It might be nothing to do with the fact that this tree looks like it's on the way out. And the damsons, why have they gone? I know it's been a very dry year. I know it's been a dry year. In a minute, the leaves will be coming off it anyway, so I sort of won't be able to tell. But I just feel it's not the drought that's doing it. Definitely don't think it is the drought. I think it's this global warming business. Who caused it? There we go. Right, down here we got our pampas grass, which is fairly indestructible. We hacked it down last year. Normally in February these all seem to go weak and snap over. This year we had them for till June, at least June. This is the second growth for the winter, because these do come up in the winter and they're lovely. But you can see the height they've got to. I want to know why this last year did they stay up so long? And they seem to me to be in an advanced stage. Look, over here is the same one. You can see beautiful against the sunlight there. And they're lovely and white, but they normally wouldn't be at this stage till about November, December. So obviously it's the seeds. Are they thinking it's going to be a shocking winter, which everybody's saying it's going to be the worst for 30 years? And it makes me wonder, because look, here, there's one. I'm saving these for catapult material. These are horse chestnuts, not sweet chestnuts, right? So there's the chestnut tree. It does get attacked by the moth. The little leaves shrivel up and that, but apparently it doesn't really hurt it. You can see them breaking open there. They're falling down. Wait for this. Excuse me, the end of August, early September. I've also noticed loads and loads of tiny ones. Why are they releasing what these are? Technically their seeds. Why are they releasing these so early and so small? Is it the drought that's made these small? There's not enough moisture in the actual tree itself. Bear in mind, these trees, they might be 100, 200 years old. I don't know. I'm looking at my telephone wire going through, or power line. That'd be nice when that gets tight. Is it because, you know, the bark's peeling on that as well? It's being so dry that it's stopping these swell up, or is this the tree preparing itself, knowing there is some form of bad weather coming? There you can see, now that is the conker or horse chestnut, spiky on the outside, pop it open like that, and you can see these things normally would be up here. Just to give you a guide, they would be about there for a big one. What's that? Half the size they were last year. Half the size. It's bizarre, folks. But listen, see now they're very dry on the outside as well, much like those damson carcasses were. We used to open these stamping on them. Like that. There you go. So I've got 3 wells on the property. One's here. Look, here's the well and the pond I made from the well. The actual well is down in through there. It's bone dry. The well is totally dry. Okay, this is our main well. Normally on average in the winter, that pipe there, oh hi down there, stupid man waving back at me. That pipe there, the water touches that pipe, sometimes it's over it when we really do have a bit of water. Here, I have never seen it as low as that. In fact, it's exposed all the artistic, I guess, Victorian brickwork, overlaid brickwork around there. You can see it's at least 6, 7, 8 feet across. I'm going to lower my camera down there and see if we can, so you can see the brickwork in there. My problem being, I can see a little bit of weed growing there. Well, if I start getting weeds growing there, they push out, you know, the gaps between the from the brickwork. That makes it loose, and that means possibly the well could collapse, which means the house could collapse as well. A cheerful thought. Been planting some more plants here. We've put these in here, pampas, and some others perhaps not so successful, which have been transplanted and saved. They're looking a little bit tired, but you never know. And these ones, a success. I split them in half with a wood axe and then plant them again. So just look at the level that my fish pond has dropped to here. It's gone down a huge amount. Okay, a lot of that is evaporation and being rubber lined. You can see the mark there, it's dropped right down. Even the lilies, wait for this, the water is down so much, are out of the water. They could almost get out and walk away. Another pointer here. Here's an oak tree, yes, great big giant oak tree I've got, but early in the year, why are a lot of the acorns so small? Some of them are absolutely tiny. I've obviously been looking at the size of acorns for a long time, and there's nothing worse than seeing, yes, small nuts. Another pointer, here's our south facing woodland, and you think, well, that's all fine, you know, it's okay, but how come those in there are turning way earlier than they should do? The actual leaves are turning way earlier than I've ever known before. Different species get affected differently, but it's all a pointer that something's not right. Just look at those on the side. And here's another pointer, the oaks are losing a lot of broken branches that seem to be very dry. That one's obviously snapped. Why are they drying out? Why are they snapping? I want to know more about this. Even my small well here has dried up completely. Well, I think that's actually pretty interesting. When you look around in nature, and it sort of sends different signals to you, doesn't it, all the time, you know, and it makes you think about all this global warming business. I'm thinking of global warming at the moment because the temperature's dropped out there now, and you can see I'm all done out here. Artificial oak beams, antique oak beams. Tomorrow I'll probably have a go at the walls. So thanks for watching the Totally Awesome Fishing Show Tackle Cabin. What are we going to call it? What are we going to call it? The Tackle Shack? Whatever it is I'm doing here, we're going to be using it again and again and again. So we'll see you next time. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and obviously hit Mike's One TA Outdoors. Man, that is a lovely evening, but I know the weather is shocking. Almost enough to make you want to stay out here painting. See you next time.